I'm proud dad of 2 kids, 2 amazing kids, and I'm working in the area of sustainability now since a while. And if you do this, if you have these 2 hats, you start yourself asking one question. Who is responsible for tomorrow? I think this is a very important question for all of us. If we look onto some figures, 4.3 people are born every second. 1.8 die per second. Do the math, means we have 2.5 inhabitants per second additionally on this planet. This is an ever increasing speed at this moment, which leads, and you all will know this line, to a more or less exponential growth if it comes to the inhabitants. In the 1990s, there were the first signs in this direction, and that was the reason there was big studies on the topic of the Great Acceleration. The Great Acceleration combined or compared the growth in world population with the growth in other things. Consumption of water, consumption of food, and the emission of greenhouse gases. The greenhouse gas emissions, you can see, is basically in parallel. This is coming from different kinds of greenhouse gases. But what is the effect? We could say, okay, greenhouse gases are nice, but looking back the last years, I think every one of us, 2023 was a rather hot year. The winter now is cold, but it was also different the last years. So you can see this funnel. This funnel is leading us to something we all might know as the 1.5 degrees Paris Agreement. We are, this year, June, July, and August have been the hottest years in comparison, between 1.2 and 1.3 above what we know as the normal. 1.5 is the Paris Agreement. But why is this happening? I think this is an important question to understand this. It's because of the greenhouse gases. Without greenhouse gases, and I think this is also a fact we should know, it would have been minus 18 degrees on our planet, or below 0 degree Fahrenheit, which would be amazingly too cold, at least for me. But we have carbon dioxide, we have methane, you will see this afterwards, with a higher impact on the climate, and you have other greenhouse gases. And this is, at least for me personally, very important to understand where those coming from. Might of you have some glimpses, others have not touched this topic too much. Iron and steel industry. Working for an Austrian-based steel company, this is not a lobbying presentation now. It's 7.2% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. There's a lot ongoing in regards to decarbonization, carbon capture, new ways of steel production. So I think it's important to do this, to transform. But we also have to look on other sectors. Passenger cars. Driving around with your car, maybe you commuted here, emits 5.8% of greenhouse gases globally. Here you also know electromobility, other facts, the fuels of the future we heard about, and aviation industry. Aviation industry, I think, in the last years to develop somehow to the bad industry. You don't want to work there anymore because a little bit of flight shaming is 1.9% of the global emissions. Also here we have the topics of sustainable aviation fuels, e-planes, and similar topics. It's very important to transform all these sectors, but what is the effect of it? And one effect is, if you look to those charts, that the growth in energy demand is increasing dramatically. And at least based on analysis from an energy agency in US, you can see the most of the growth is covered by renewable energy. But keeping the load of fossil fuels like gas, coal, and this is not the COP 2080 talk now, this is projections which you can find everywhere. In addition, if you want to do this, if you want to build batteries, if you want to transform the sectors, you need a lot of minerals. Graphite, cobalt, nickel are well known. Some of them, 5 times more of those elements are needed to cover this transformation. So I think it's very important on the one hand side to drive this transformation, but also to look into other sectors. Where can be additional efforts to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions? One for me rather surprising fact is that the global food system is responsible for roughly 30% of the entire greenhouse gas emissions. And 1/3 of the food produced is never coming to your plate or has never been eaten. 1/3. This is a completely crazy number. And only the food loss and the food waste. Food loss means in the supply chain, because it's an ugly fruit, because it's thrown away, because you have issues with the transportation, with the cooling, and the food waste in restaurants, in households, but also in other locations. This sums up to and equals the emissions of automotive and all the flights. This is only the loss and the waste. So looking to you as an individual, and we can have now two ways. Either we discuss all the figures and everyone explains me why they are wrong, because scientists always find reasons, or lobbyists find reasons, or you take some ideas with you, what can be done. First one is reducing your personal waste, the consumer waste. This would reduce the greenhouse gas emissions of every individual in Europe by roughly 20%. Second one, an evolutionary strange thing is that human beings do sports. They eat, they go running. From an energy perspective, it's waste. So we don't need it. Then there are some of you might have had pizza yesterday. There's this last slice of pizza, and you eat it. You don't need it, but you eat it. You like it. Or as a dad, you eat the fries from the kid because you don't want to get it thrown away, and you get this famously known dad bod. It's waste. You don't need it. It's not necessary for evolution, not to survive. So we could reduce tremendously the emissions, cutting down the waste, what we throw away, and cutting down the additional energy we consume. Second topic, diet. I didn't compare the crazy things with the other crazy things. I compared a medium meat eater with a person who is a vegetarian. Again, minus 30% of emissions. And you don't need to do all these things together, but just find your things. There's one additional potential. I discussed with the coaches and the colleagues if we are allowed to show this, because it could cause some issues. There would be a really good solution to cut down the emissions, to reduce men. For me personally, not the preferred version, to be honest. So let's stick to the rest. We could achieve with different diet, with reduction of waste and overconsumption, 70% of the greenhouse gas emissions of every individual. Might not be 70 because there are other effects in it, but let it be 30%. It's amazing what is possible for every individual. So we started with the question, who is responsible for the future? Is it the dad bod? Is it the man? We can argue this. Is it the car industry? Is it us driving around? Is it aviation? Should we get rid of aviation? Is it the manufacturing sector? I think this is something which is rather obvious. Is it the food industry? Is it the way we eat? Is it the politicians? We really like to talk about politicians and the need to set the right frame conditions. But I personally, and I'm strongly convinced, it's about every one of us. Everyone should understand the potentials. And I found a quote from Abraham Lincoln. I think it fits perfectly well. You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by avoiding it today. You all remember this funnel? I hope. Someone fell asleep in between, but this was the funnel in the beginning. This is my vision. I know it sounds crazy, but find your personal levers and show how it's done. Thank you very much.